It depends on what you call a high position. You know, I ran for United States Congress, and when I ran, my daughter said, "Oh, Dad, you're gonna have to deal with the Illuminati, and you know they're not gonna let you
Okay.
run." And
Which daughter said this?
the oldest daughter,
Okay.
but so I said to her, there can't be one person controlling who runs for these offices nationwide." But I found out there is, and
Mhm.
they do decide who can be in these positions, and they're not looking for someone who has uh, a who says I think in ways that can find solutions. They're looking for people that are going to do what they tell them to do.
Okay.
And so it starts in the very beginning. You know, when you hire the consultant tells you, when they ask you this question, you say this answer. And the consultant tells you, you need to shave your mustache, you shave your beard, you take a picture with a dog, with a horse, and you take a picture reading a Harry Potter book to the kid.
Okay.
And so they're conditioning you right then to do all these things that aren't things that you would normally do. And then they tell you how you're supposed to respond to answers because that's going to give you the most votes. Doesn't matter whether what you're saying makes sense or is going to truly be a solution. It's what's going to get you the votes, and they've tested it. So there's this huge disconnect. So you actually put people in place who say things to get votes, but have nothing to do with translating into actionable things that are going to solve problems. So you're not electing people who solve problems. You're electing people who say the things that are going to get people to vote for them. Sounds complicated, but that's the reality of it.
Gotcha. It's almost like branding, almost a little
I'll
bit.
give you a perfect example. They had it when I ran for Congress. They asked the question, um, "What do you think would reduce crime and gun violence in San Bernardino?" And I said, "Giving more people opportunities for jobs, and the earlier you start giving them access to disenfranchised, then the better chance that you're going to reduce crime, because a lot of crime is driven by folks trying to get money."
Period.
So that was my answer. But the guy who ended up winning saying we got to have more gun laws, and that didn't make any sense to me in San Bernardino. How would a gun law change crime in San Bernardino? The criminals don't go buy guns at the gun store.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so how does changing the gun law going to change crime in San Bernardino? It won't. But he's gonna be the guy to get the votes because they've told him if you say this, people that vote will vote for you.
Yeah.
So it's a total disconnect.
So, oh man, so many questions.
But
Oh
you but you
God.
but you have to remember, the only question I had at that time was, has it always been this way? And it has. You got to remember, America was created by businessmen, and the businessmen did not want to be the politicians. So the businessmen wanted to be able to pick who the politicians were by financing their money. And that's why the Supreme Court ruled, based on the Constitution, that given a contribution is freedom of speech.
Okay.
So that they can give as much money as they want to a candidate.
Yeah.
So your candidates literally are bought and paid for. And you have to remember, whoever's giving that money, you're beholden to those person who gives you the money.
Yeah. AKA lobbyists or lobbyists.
That's right. Well, the lobbyists are paid for by the same people. Yeah. But the lobbyists also get involved when you run for office. You go meet with the lobbyists in order to get them to give you contributions. But you know when you go to meet with those folks, they're going to come back to ask for things. And that's when, you know, politics is involved because people do things that don't make any sense to anybody. Well, they're doing it because they've been told to do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys are enjoying this, please like the video, subscribe, all that jazz. Comment down below. Hope you're enjoying yourself, Mr. Tillman. I'm having
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
You mentioned that you didn't think that there was one person in charge, but then you found out that there was.
Yes.
Who was it? What was it?
You know, it's not a person, but they're, I'll give you a prime example. When I went to run, I took a trip to Sacramento.
Okay.
And while I was in Sacramento, I had told people I was going to run for U.S. Congress, and I had people come to me and say, a person who I rode on the plane there with told me, I got a phone call. They're saying you can't run for U.S. Congress. I said, who is they?
Mm.
They said this person wants to talk to you. The person called me, said, "Nah, you can. We'll support you if you run for the state assembly. We'll support you if you run for uh, the county superintendent of schools,
Yeah.
but you can't run for uh, U.S. Congress." And I said, "That's not a democracy. If I can't run for office I want to run for, that's not democracy. If you guys deciding who runs for office, you don't have a democracy." And so I told him, I said, "You don't know me. You can't tell me I can't run. And the fact that you tell me I can't run means I am going to run." But I was at work one day and I got a phone call and they said it was a lady from the DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, and she told me, "We're calling to tell you that we're supporting X candidate." I said, "Well, why did you call and tell me that?" "Well, we just want you to know he's a good candidate." I said, "Well, I think he's less qualified than me. Have experience with bigger organizations, bigger budgets. So why? So, and I think it's not democracy when you guys decide who can run and who can't run." And she said, "I'm not telling you you can't run. Then why did you call me?" And she hung up the phone. And before she hung up, I said, "What'd you say your name is again?" And she hung up the phone. I called back the number. That's how I knew it was the DCCC, uh, and uh, and I knew who the person's name was because it was on a recording. But for them at that level to call me and try to encourage me not to run, it's crazy. But when you get back to the people controlling it, I had a number of people who told me, "Hey, I raised money for Barack Obama. We're going to have a fundraiser for you." And they come back and say, "Nah, man, I talked to people. They said I can't support you. They're going with this other person." And then so every time somebody would come to me and say, "Hey, I work for Barack's team. I'm gonna bring this guy in. We're gonna do something for it." And I would tell them, "Dude, after you make your second or third phone call, they're gonna tell you you can't do it." And that's what happened. Whoever they were calling to say, "Hey, we're gonna do it," they got shut down because nationwide they do decide who's gonna run for whatever reason they decide.
Basically, it's already pre-plicked and pre-planned.
Exactly. When you interview with the unions, um, the actual union members, there'll be a room of 100 people. It doesn't matter though. Their union president already knows who they're going to endorse. It's not because of what the people say. It's because what they decided uh, at the national level, who they're going with already. So you're not going to have one union pick one candidate and another union pick another candidate. They all decide on who their candidate is. And it gets back to the same thing. That person's going to do what's in their best interest.
Yes.
They don't care about solutions or being fair or any of that.